Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dante Fortson here with History Debunked. Where are the lost tribes of Israel? So, in August 20th of 2018, I put together this post. You can see right here the date stamp, August 20th, 2018. This is on my site, blackhistoryinthebible.com. A link directly to this post will be posted in the description. So, in 2018, I put together this post. Which started off as just a post, and then it kind of turned into a timeline. And so as this timeline progressed, I've been kind of working on it, and it didn't get many shares at first. It only got 73 shares on Facebook, 101 on Pinterest, so 174 shares total. Not many shares, but I've been working on that timeline for the last couple years. And as the timeline has progressed, it has started to fill out in something somewhat interesting. And this is sort of a call to arms for all Israelites out there. This is a call to arms. Understand that the urban apologists have been backed into a corner. They are not letting this be known, but those of us who are active in the biblical rumble room know that they have been backed into a corner thanks to Nefertiti and her claims of white Jews in West Africa. She does concede that there were Jews in West Africa. And then she tried to claim that they were Europeans, and the UA refuses to call her out or present evidence to support her claims. And so they've been backed into a corner where they're either forced to defend her lie or debunk her themselves. And so they've chosen to sit silent because that's what lies and deception do in face of the truth. And so what I want to do is arm every Israelite out there with this resource. Now, understand that we are short on time because of what's going down. We understand, many of us understand and believe that this is the judgment of God that is happening, as we told you would happen after 2019. This is something I was very clear on. I believe that the curse on Israel would end in 2019 and that there would be a brief pause. Some of that might be for the awakening. Some of that might be for the fullness of the Gentiles to come in, but there would be a brief pause and judgment would start. And so here we are 4 months after 2019. You can see I'm recording this at 10:19 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on 4/12/2020. 4 months, almost 4.5 months into 2020. And we're going to see what's going on. So anyway, this timeline starts at about 2300 BC. It's not 100% about Israelite captivity. It's about putting a timeline together to show the evidence of who we are as a people. Now, don't get it confused. This is not to convince the doubters. It is to convince our people that are on the fence about our history that has been hidden from us. And so I do want to ask everyone out there for their help. If you have resources, any kind of sources that you have the links directly to, put it that way, direct links to these sources, please share them. Please share them on Facebook Messenger. Please share them in the YouTube comments. You can share them on blackhistoryinthebible.com in the comments section. Please send me the links directly to the sources, and I will add them to the timeline as I go through them. Now, just because you send me a source doesn't mean I'm going to add it immediately. I do like to go through them first and verify everything myself. So we see it starts at 2300 BC. And we come down to 1440 BC, and we see the Egyptians and the Israelites depicted together. Now, some Europeans will say these are just tanned Caucasians, which we know is nonsense. But you see that we have evidence of who's who and what they look like. And from 1440 BC, it jumps to 549 BC. Now, there's a lot of stuff that happens in between there. So if you have any sources for that, please send it over. We have these depictions. Now, each of these right here, each of these sources has a short description, and you can click this link and most of the pictures for the source information. It'll take you to the page that'll give you the source information. So this is the perfect tool. If you're debating somebody, you can come to this page and you can look by time period and grab the evidence you need based on the time period you're talking about. You don't have to Google search it, fumble through it, or any of that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that everything is here just yet. There's a ton of evidence some of you have sent me, and shout out to those people who have sent me evidence to check out. If you're looking for your comment to be approved on YouTube, and you sent me sources and I have not approved it, it's because I want to keep it in the pending section so I don't lose track of it and have to go back and find which video it's on. For those of you who send me information and put your email address in the comment, I will not approve that comment because I don't want to release anybody's personal information. That includes phone numbers and other information that you send me as well. I will not release anybody's personal contact information. So if you do send me one of those comments, just know it will not be approved. If you're worried about, I sent the comment and I don't know if he's going to put my information out there, I will not do it. I don't care if you're UA or anybody else. I'm not going to put your personal information out there. All right, so continuing on from 549 BC, it jumps to 70 AD. So if anybody has any sources from 549 BC to 70 AD, please send them over so I could check it out. The more complete our timeline gets, the less effective their argument gets when it's in opposition to us. They have to change the narrative. They have to make it about racism or anything else they try to do whenever we teach our history. But they hypocritically teach their own history. They teach their Italian history and their French history and their American history. And yet when black people teach our own history, suddenly it's racist. It's not about color. And yet we find that it seems to be about color because they keep changing everything. So 70 AD, this is going to be a reference to Babylon and Timbuktu. So you'll see some of this stuff in there on this timeline. And from 70 AD, we jump to 96 AD, which is a 26-year gap, not a huge one. But if you have any information in between there, I would love to have it. This is Tacitus, and again, these are summaries. Tacitus says Hebrews look like Egyptians and Ethiopians. If you click the link, it'll take you, matter of fact, I'll go there now. It'll take you directly to the page in this Tacitus page right here. It contains the quote. It tells you exactly where the source is, histories 5.2 through 5. And it has a little bit more information about how Tacitus' life overlaps the life of Paul the Apostle. So it does verify in the Bible why Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian. That was a common belief going around, is that the Israelites descended from possibly the Egyptians or the Ethiopians because of their skin color. And then from 96 AD, it jumps to 718 AD, a huge gap. So anything within that 700-year period, about 600-year gap, anything in between there would be appreciated if you send it over. Now, at 718 AD, this is interesting because you have Spain's Black Virgin Mary, Negra, some said Formosa. Translation in Latin is I am black but beautiful. Now, why is a picture of a depiction of a Black Virgin Mary and a Black Christ in Spain? As we will see later on, which is also on this timeline, I'll remind you when I get to it, the Spanish Jews are always dark complected. And we see that the Portuguese Jews were black. We've seen that in plenty of the evidence. And again, I'll touch on it briefly as we scroll down the page. And again, the link to this timeline will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this like on Facebook or some other platform, I'll put the link in the original post that I'm going to make. When people share it, I'm not sure if the links will come across. I think people have the option to remove the original wording. But if you are watching it on a different platform and you don't see the link, click the video page or click the video, come to the YouTube page and click the description and you'll find the link directly to this page. So right here, 718 AD, then we jump to 740 AD, and we have a piece of evidence that says the Ashkenazi Jews converted to Judaism. And this is, again, 740 AD. And from 740 AD, we can jump to 880 AD. This is going to touch on Eldad, the Danite. When you click here, tribe of Dan reported to be in Africa near Tunisia. We see that there. And so from 880 to 1492, we have a huge gap there. I do have some information that has not gone up yet that I do plan to put up. But any information you have for these periods, please send me over the sources so I could check them out and add them. 1492, Black Jews deported from Spain and Portugal to West Africa, which again goes back to the Black Virgin Mary in Spain, the statue. 1492 is also the year that Columbus set sail, I believe it was, to find the West Indies, aka the Americas. So now in the late 1400s, we also have Black Hebrews or Black Israelites, Black Jews exiled from Portugal and sent to Guinea and Sao Tome. And we see Sao Tome and Principe, these two islands over here in West Africa. Back up here, Tunisia is in North Africa. So we see a lot of references to Africa and the tribes of Israel. Now from the 1400s, we get to 1619. So anything in between that about 200-year gap, please send me information to help fill in that 200-year gap. Again, the bigger this timeline grows, the less effective the opposition can argue, because only a person that is truly racist at heart or truly in rebellion against truth, the Most High and the Messiah will deny this information once you start to lay it all out and once you have enough evidence that closes the gaps. So 1619, many people agree that that's when slavery started in America. Now, there are people who dispute that. Under these, they'll say not all Israel is black, but then they'll go based on the fact that black people were brought to America prior to then. They will say, well, that means that the slavery wasn't 400 years. They automatically associate all those black people with Israel. And there's some flaws in that line of thinking and those mathematics, but I won't get into that right now. So 1619, you have this reference. It'll take you to a source over here. And then you get into the 1600s to 1965. This source comes from Cambridge University Press. Israelites were more likely to be enslaved than other Africans, and Judaism may be native to West Africa. So that source is in there. And I am going to add Cambridge University in parentheses. You'll see in a second that I've already started doing that with some of the other evidence. From the 1600s, we jump to 1710. You have this map right here. Let me see. This is the Earl of, I believe, Canterbury, if I'm not mistaken. This is the map given to an English Earl in 1710 that shows, let me see. Yeah, over here it's going to have the tribe of Judah. I went over this map and go ask your pastor. From 1710, we have a 1720 map. The Kingdom of Judah located in Africa. We have a 1723 map that depicts the tribe of Judah. And we went over this too in Go Ask Your Pastor. Some people say that because they were worshiping a snake, there's no way this could have been the tribe of Judah. But I also pointed out that in the Bible, they worshiped Nehushtan, and they had to destroy the snake, the brass snake that Moses put, or the bronze snake that Moses put up on the staff, and they began to worship it and it had to be destroyed. So it kind of kills that argument that people say that this could not have been the actual tribe of Judah because they worshiped a snake. Simply not true. From 1723, we jump to 1737. Here's a map, a Spanish map of Judah on the west coast of Africa. 1743, the Homan and Ayers German map. This shows Judah on the west coast of Africa. 1747, this is the English map by Emmanuel Bowen. This shows Judah as the slave coast, also on the west coast of Africa. 1766 map. This is from the Duke of Orleans, a gift to the Duke of Orleans. And I've gone over why maps were important back then. They were presents to royalty and nobility. And this, right in this section over here, Lamlim, you'll see when you enlarge the map, if you click this, it says that it was populated by Jews. I have to change that, said people by Jews, but I will update that right there. It does say populated by Jews over here in West Africa. And it says this area roundabout or hereabout. It doesn't give an exact location, but it does mark them in this general area that they were Jews. 1795. Here's an article. It takes you to, again, it'll take you to the source. If you click these, Negroes in possession of scriptures unknown to Europeans. That was in 1795. So if you have any information between 1766 and 1795, it would be appreciated. And for 1795, we jump to 1812. Ancient Jews were black. This comes from the University of Michigan. So this is what I was talking about. I'm going to add the who published it, because a lot of universities have published this stuff. And so this is important because the opposition will argue that these sources aren't peer reviewed. Well, they're not going to argue that the University of Michigan is not peer reviewed. They just won't argue it. If they could argue successfully against any information the universities put out, I assure you that they would go live. They would make a phone call to the university. They would get the university to print a retraction. They would make a video and they would go viral because it would help prove their point. And yet they have not done it. The reason they have not done it is because they cannot do it. This is University of Michigan, just one. So 1822, Hebrews described as not white and very dark. 1848. We see Jews and Africans looked identical. This is from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So if we're wrong and I'm lying, they say that we're lying and we're twisting history and we're misrepresenting history. Call the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and ask them why they said Jews and Africans look identical. Debunk them on live, YouTube, Facebook, however you want to do it. 1851, Spanish Jews are always dark complexion. This is from Northwestern University. And this goes back to the black statue of the Virgin Mary. Excuse me. We know that they are depicted as black, and there we have a statue, which is hard evidence that they believed in a black Mary and a black Christ. And Northwestern University published this in 1851, saying Spanish Jews are always dark complexion. 1873, Jews and Nubians looked identical. That's from Pennsylvania State University. So again, each one of these videos in the Go Ask Your Pastor series only deals with one specific piece of information at a time. I know a lot of times when we do these longer videos and presentations, people get lost in all the information. So I developed this series to give you one piece of evidence at a time that you can use against the opposition. And a lot of it is going to come from universities. And a lot of it's still being updated. Understand that this is not a complete project. It is a work in progress, but you guys have access to it 100% freely as it's going on. And you can use these sources in, as much as you want to. 1879, 5,000 former slaves migrate across America and start teaching Negroes or Israel. Not something you probably learned in history class. That source is there. 1882, Europeans knew black Jews were in West Africa. This is published by Princeton. Princeton Theological Seminary, to be specific. Let me see here. We keep going. 1890, Igbos suspected to be Hebrews. Again, the sources are in the when you click the link or the picture. I will link the pictures that are not linked in this presentation. I will be showing those. I'm sorry, linking those later on so that you can click the pictures. 1890, a Judah in West Africa was named after the tribe of Judah. And I will add the university that published this information as well. And there's also a French document and there is an English document, I believe, written in 1882. I have not added the 1882 text yet. Did I? Oh, yeah, it is right here. Okay, this is the one from Princeton. And then this is the French document then. This is the French document that tells you that a Judah in West Africa was definitely named after the tribe of Judah. 1910, Hebrews referred to as Negroes and linked to Jamaica. So we're starting to see that Judah was in West Africa. We saw that Judah's marked as the slave coast. We saw that people were taken from Judah and scattered all across the Americas and around the world, which included the islands. And then in 1910, we see that Hebrews referred to as Negroes and linked to Jamaica. 1920s, Kumbaya is recorded in Gullah. Kumbaya is a sentence. Gullah is a language. Both words are Hebrew words. If you click the link and the picture later on, it will take you to the breakdown of Kumbaya. The Hebrew word right here, Yah, is God. That is the Hebrew word for God. For those that don't know, go ask any European in any church. Ask them, what does Kumbaya mean? And they will say, come by here, my Lord. Ask them which word or which part of the word Kumbaya is Lord. Just ask and see what they say. Most of them probably will not tell you Yah is Lord. Yah is Hebrew. Gullah is a Hebrew word that means bold, something used for mixing. And if you get into the Gullah language, which you'll see in the evidence, it's a mixture of multiple languages, including and recognized by the government, West African. And we will see, if you dig through some of the evidence, you'll see that West Africans, many of them spoke Hebrew. Hebrew names were on the slave ship database, and the slave ship database will be linked here as well as the project progresses. And you can look up the names on the database and see that some had Yah in their name and Jah in their name, and other Hebrew names were on board the slave ships. And that's a project by Emory University, headed by Emory University, but it's a collaborative project between multiple universities across the entire planet. Now, from the 1920s, it skips to 1963. We see the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, which says Negroes are not from the line of Ham. Now, some people will say, well, it doesn't mean that they were admitting we were Shem. They just left us out because they were racist or, whatever. Why would they specifically leave us out and not other Africans? That's one question. But number two, it doesn't matter what their motives were. The fact is, we know the truth. We are not from the line of Ham. We are from the line of Shem. And regardless of the reason that somebody tells you the sky is blue, if they could be the most racist person in the world. If they tell you the sky is blue and we can verify that the sky is blue, they were right about that one thing. It doesn't matter if they were racist or not. So truth is truth and a lie is a lie. And the truth is we are not from the line of Ham. That's 1963. 1969, Henry Kissinger refers to Igbos as wandering Jews of West Africa. Now, I've gone over some of the evidence that point to Igbos as Israelites. And This right here will link directly to the Library of Congress, I believe. It's directly on the Library of Congress website. You can read it for yourself. He calls them the Wandering Jews of West Africa. So from 1969, we get to 2013. Ashkenazi DNA traces to European women that converted to Judaism. This is from Haaretz. It's an Israeli website, Ashkenazi Jewish owned website. And this is what they published. So this timeline is not 100% about just proving who we are. It's also about proving who they aren't. Because if you get into a conversation with somebody and they're telling you that these people are the people, you can link to this article. You can grab this source and post it and show them, hey, they even say that they are not the people. You can go to Genesis 10 and see Ashkenaz is from the line of Japheth and not from the line of Shem. You can see that Ashkenaz means German or Germany. So everything points to them not being the people, and yet the opposition wants to hold on to this lie. 2019, now this is where the timeline shifts, sort of, and starts to come into prophecy and modern times. Trump commemorates 400 years of slavery in America. This is from the Washington Post. You can click the picture and the link to get the full article. And here at this point is where I decided I was going to start adding Bible verses just for reference. It doesn't necessarily mean that all these are spot on accurate, but I did go ahead and do that so that we could start having scriptural evidence to help with the historical evidence. So I'm going to read a couple of these, but I'm not going to read them all. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. That's Genesis 15, 13 through 14. Now, some people disagree that this was the 400 years, but as I said before, we're not going to get into that today. So in 2019, something interesting happened. Now, I said this. Now, again, I published this in 2018. 2019, I was very clear. You can read my book, The Black Hebrew Awakening, The Final 400 Years of Slaves in America. I said I believe the 400-year curse will end on black people here in America and other nations, and judgment, there will be a pause, and judgment will come upon the Gentile nations. Now, right below that, I put no specific date set, and there will be a pause before judgment begins. So here we are, for about almost 4.5 months after 2019, and what are we looking at? We're going to get into some of that stuff. There's a link right here, no specific date. And there's a verse, Jeremiah 30, verses 7 through 8. Alas, for the day is great. For that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. This is what we were talking about. Now, some people mockingly say, now remember the Bible says, don't mock the natural branches. But some people mockingly said, well, you guys are wrong, and the 400-year prophecy failed. They started saying this before the end of 2019, mind you. The 400-year prophecy failed, right? They said that I was false teaching and I made a false prophecy, even though I made no prophecies. I never said God told me this or God told me that. I never once said that. What they did is they twisted the truth, and then they misrepresented my position. They misrepresented my words on what I said, and they've been called out for being liars over and over again. And the urban apologetics community, because they hate black people so much, they latched on to this false accusation made by Vocab Malone specifically, and they decided to collectively bear false witness. This is who they are. They are not Christians, in my opinion. They are pseudo Christians. They are a pseudo church, they are a cult, not even like a cult. They are a cult because they don't care to fact check. They don't care to get the information right. They only care about attacking black people. And so now here we are in 2020. I warned, Teo warned, bunches of other people warned. Bunches of people warned that 2019, something was going to change. They didn't believe it. So now, 4 months later, after a brief pause, we see that there are all kind of things that look like judgments occurring on the earth right now. And now that, I'll come back to that in a second. So billions of locusts ravage East Africa. This is from USA Today. Now, it's not just a lot of locusts. It's that these locusts are swarming, and the swarms keep getting bigger. And they said the next swarm is supposed to be like 300 or 400 times bigger than the last swarm. Some of the reports I've read is that it threatens up to a third of the planet, these locust swarms. And CV-19 is actually helping the swarms mutate or something like that. I'm reading all kind of information on these locust swarms, and I'm trying to assimilate it all. But It's just so much stuff out there besides the locusts. But the locust swarms are interesting because they keep growing until they're going to cover most of the planet. Now, here's another one. Millions at risk from famine because of locust plague. Now, this is from Al Jazeera. They use the word plague. I didn't use the word plague. They use the word plague in the actual article title. They call it a plague. And some of the other reports that I've read said it threatens the food supply for up to 25 million people on the planet. And we're seeing this right after 2019, you know, the same date that the urban apologists mocked and said, well, you guys were supposed to be out of here, which is not what I ever said. I can't speak for nobody else. I did not say we were supposed to be out of here, but they tried to lump my stuff in with the people who did. 2020, over 1 million people affected with CV-19. This is from CBS News. 1.5 million, actually. I just put over 1 million because the number keeps going up. And so when it goes over 2 million, I'll change that number. I'll update it to 2 million. But these people are infected. And so there's something happening that's bigger. And it's not just an infection. It's that the world is locked down. Most of the world is locked down because of CV-19. This is from BBC News. And we see, again, we have Bible verses. I'm going to add Bible verses to some of these, but we have a Bible verse here. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut the doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment until the indignation be overpast. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. Isaiah chapter 26, verses 20 through 21. Hide thyself, shut the doors, hide thyself. So that sounds like quarantine to me. Enter into thy chambers and shut the doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment till the indignation be overpast. Remember, Israel was in Egypt during the plagues. Do not let these doubters and opposition to this information tell you any different. They did not leave until after Passover, the death of the firstborn. Israel was in Egypt during the plagues. And that's one thing that the urban apologist community will not tell you in context, because many of us understand that. And so they have to lie and false teach and say that we made claims that we didn't make. 2020, refrigerated trucks to be used to bury the dead due to CV-19. This from USA Today. Why are they using refrigerated trucks? Because people are dying so fast that they can't bury them. But we have the same verse again from Isaiah 26 verses 20 to 21. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut the doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment until the indignation be overpast. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. So we see that there is a call to quarantine ourselves, to lock down ourselves in our chambers until the indignation is overpassed. And then right behind that, we see he's coming out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth. Not just Babylon or wherever people want to say that this happened, the whole earth. And the earth shall no more cover her slain. They got those refrigerated trucks out there because people are dying faster than they can bury them. But again, a lot of people say this is coincidence, even though it's happening after 2019 when the 400 years have been commemorated. And there's more evidence coming. Utah hit by over 700 earthquakes since March. That's about 43 days, 700 earthquakes in 43 days. That's according to Newsweek. One of the earthquakes knocked the trumpet of the angel Moroni out of his hand. You guys can go look that up. I will add the evidence here. It's not on here right now. But if you want to go look it up in the meantime, you can. But it knocked the trumpet of the angel Moroni out of his hand. 2020, inmates are being released from jails and prisons due to CV-19. This is from NBC News. Why are they being released from jails and prisons? Because the 400 years is up. And we know that the majority of people in prison, I think it was 80%, are people that look like you and me, black people, Israelites. We understand that they are in prison because slavery never ended. The 13th Amendment loophole allows them to enslave you for a crime. And so they've been continuing the slavery of Israel. And the Most High has said that is enough. And so this CV-19 right here, people are being released from prison because he is saying, let my people go, just like he did in Egypt. And the world is going to be given another space to repent. There's going to be another pause after this line of judgment. There's going to be another pause for them to repent, and they will not repent. And the next round will start. It says, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, the opening of prisons to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn. The day of vengeance of our God, the opening of prisons to them that are bound, to proclaim liberty to the captives. People are being set free right now. It's after 2019, and these people are telling us it's a coincidence. National Geographic, a chunk of Yellowstone the size of Chicago is pulsing. That's a volcano potentially under Yellowstone. And we've seen, for those of you who've seen 2012, the movie, one of the biggest scenes in there is when the volcano Yellowstone exploded, and it ripped apart everything for miles, killed tons of people and animals for miles, caused devastation all over the earth along with other stuff. This is again from National Geographic. All this is happening right now. I haven't even mentioned the fact that it's been a record season for typhoons, which has led to the massive explosion of the locusts. Again, there's so much evidence of stuff going on right now. It's hard to put it all out there. Different countries and different continents on fire right now. We keep going. So the truth shall set us free. Understand that this is all about the truth. Share this post, like this post. Use the information in this post. It's like arming yourselves. Think of this as the armory. Make sure you save this this page as a favorite. Check back once a week, because I'm going to be updating this page continually to try to fill in the historical gaps and give you guys more information that you can use against the opposition, and that you can use to wake up our brothers and sisters that are still asleep. Time is running short. So if you want to support this ministry, you can do so at patreon.com/Dante Fortson. VIP patrons do have an exclusive phone number where they can text and call me. I do not always answer the calls, but I do text people back. If you want to support via Cash App, you can do so with hashtag BHITB. If you want to support via PayPal, the link is in the description. And of course, you are always more than welcome to support via Super Chat. Just click the $ in the chat link, or in the chat box. And for those of you who need help during these times of crisis, contact Brother Ron Shields and KHM Ministries. They are helping Black families in need. And until this crisis is over, I am pledging to give monthly over there. Brother Ron Shields is doing great work for the community. So if you have extra and you want to go through Brother Ron Shields, he already has everything set up. If you want to do it yourself, please help those that are in need during this time of crisis, if you've been blessed with extra. And again, for those of you who have not, do not be ashamed or embarrassed to reach out for help. Everybody has been there at some point in their life, unless they were just born rich. And even then they were reaching out to their parents, so they didn't think of it the same. Point being, if you need help, ask for the help you need. And if you can help, please do help other people. So for those of you who are willing to share this article, please do so. If you're willing to share your sources, please do so. I would appreciate it. And I know everybody else in the community would appreciate it too. So with that said, until next time, I'm out.